Time now for the morning rush.
We start with Kristen Curry.
Good morning. Looking at a mostly sunny sky and dangerous winds across the state today. As far as the rain chances go, those will kick in overnight for the northern half of the state, northern mountains, northeastern plains. Looking at these hit and miss showers with little accumulation expected through the day tomorrow. David?
As you get ready to head out the door, we are following the day's top local stories. We start with Sarah Yingling live downtown.
Bernalillo County residents have a little over 2 weeks to challenge the value of their property. Every property owner was given a notice of what the value is going to be for their property. But if you disagree with that amount, you can come to the assessor's office to speak with an appraiser. If the issue isn't resolved with the assessor's office, a formal hearing with the County Valuation Protest Board can be scheduled. What you should do if this applies to you, coming up in the 5 Facts.
The teen accused of opening fire in a Clovis library, killing 2 people, will not be moved to an adolescent treatment facility. That's according to the Eastern New Mexico News. According to the newspaper, Judge James Hudson denying the request last week, saying it would impede the need to detain 17-year-old Nathaniel Jewett. On Friday, Hudson approved the state's motion for pretrial detention. A status hearing is scheduled for May 21st.
A former Espanola city manager who has a pending lawsuit against that city is going back to work for them. That's new at 6. According to the Santa Fe New Mexican, the Espanola City Council voted 6 to 2 to rehire him as city manager. Kelly Duran says he was fired after questioning city practices. So Duran filed a lawsuit against the city government a year later.
Happening today, the UN Security Council is set to hold a special meeting in just hours to try to calm a war of words. This in response to Syria's alleged chemical attack over the weekend. This morning, the president just tweeting saying, quote, he never said an attack on Syria would take place. He says it could be very soon or not so soon at all. Now, both White House and the Pentagon say a final decision on military action has not been made.
Looking ahead for you, California Representative Kevin McCarthy and Louisiana Rep Steve Scalise are the likely chief contenders to succeed Paul Ryan as House Speaker. McCarthy is the Republican House Majority Leader. Scalise is the Republican Majority Whip, who is viewed as the more conservative of the two. Ryan told colleagues yesterday he would not seek re-election in November, saying he wants to spend more time with his family.
Happening now, the Navajo Nation is the latest to sue pharmaceutical companies and drug distributors, alleging their conduct caused the opioid crisis. Now, the tribe says American Indians have suffered more from opioid dependency or abuse, leading to death, family dysfunction, poverty, and social despair. The lawsuit filed in U.S. District Court seeks unspecified damages and attorney fees.
On to news, new at 6. Advocates are pressuring the University of New Mexico to give final approval on a plan to issue Chicano Studies graduate degrees. The University of New Mexico's Chicana and Chicano Studies Department submitted a proposal to make it happen. Activists recently gathered signatures for petitions to convince the school's provost to forward the proposal to the Faculty Senate by April 18th.
New details and happening this weekend. A memorial honoring fallen BCSO Deputy James McGrain Jr. will be rededicated. Deputy McGrain's memorial sat near the spot he was killed during a traffic stop in 2006. In November, BCSO had to move it because of construction along Highway 14 at Tijeras. A ceremony is planned for Saturday at 10 a.m. at the East Area Command Center.
On to news, new at 6. This morning, the president tweeting about the Russia investigation, saying in part, if rumors were true about firing special counsel Robert Mueller, I would have already done it. The president making those comments after Mueller authorized the FBI to raid the president's lawyers for documents.
New at 6, the Trump administration is considering a plan that would require people who use food stamps to undergo drug testing. It would be up to individual states to decide if they want to adopt this new plan. Now, the White House says it would be apply to people without children who are able-bodied and applying for specialized jobs.
We're looking ahead for you on this Thursday morning. Beginning tomorrow, New Mexico National Forest around the state will begin fire restrictions. That means open burning and smoking outside established sites is banned. The Santa Fe National Forest will have Stage 1 restrictions beginning on Friday. Stage 1 restrictions will also go into effect in the Mountain Air and Sandia Ranger districts.
Today's Metro Threat Index up to a 9, so really nobody should be burning out there as we have critical to extreme fire danger across the state, and here in the metro, extreme winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. That will likely kick up the dust across the entire Rio Grande Valley. Fernanda?
New this morning, it's helping to keep Albuquerque kids off the streets. The owner of a local boxing gym says he worries about where the kids he trains would be if it weren't for a special program. Local nonprofit Los Ojos de la Familia is making sure kids are able to stay at the gym even when their families can't afford it. They pay half of enrollment costs and often help with equipment too. They say the aim is to keep kids active and for some out of trouble as well. To find out more, head to alwaysonkrqe.com. Crystal?
On to new news this morning. A new Canadian study finds a 50% increase in the price of cigarettes would help millions around the world avoid poor health and extreme poverty. Researchers say a tax would stop young people from starting and push low-income people to quit.
New this morning, a new soda tax in Philadelphia is being credited for a big reduction in people drinking soda. Residents are up to 40% less likely to drink soda every day compared to people in neighboring cities. Philadelphians are also 58% more likely to drink bottled water every day. Kristen?
Time now for a check on your Thursday morning commute. No major crashes out there, but we already have a little bit of volume on I-40 eastbound. As you approach the 4th Street exit, you're going to be moving at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll keep tabs on the roads for you throughout the day.
All right, take a look at your TV screens here. A memorial to the opioid epidemic in Washington, D.C. opens today. It features 22,000 faces carved out of prescription pills. It sits behind the White House. Each pill is cut with a machine to represent the face of a fatal overdose victim. The memorial launched in Chicago in November. Washington is the third stop of the nationwide tour.
All right, time now for the 5 facts.
We start with number 5 here. An Albuquerque Biopark elephant is waking up in his new home on the West Coast this morning. Is a big job ahead of him. Samson, the Asian elephant, is now a new member at the Oregon Zoo in Portland. While the goodbye was bittersweet, Samson will be helping the endangered species population at his new home. Samson arrived at the biopark when he was 5 years old and lived at the zoo for 15 years. There are now only 5 elephants, but they could be getting another male at some point.
At number 4, a busy road in Bernalillo County is about to begin its next phase in a major makeover to hopefully end congestion. Now, we've told you about the project on Bridge Boulevard that proposes bike lanes, widened sidewalks, new zoning, and changes to the often congested area between 8th and Coors. Now the county hopes the project will improve the South Valley. The project will cost $24 million and is almost entirely federally funded. To keep residents updated, the county has created a website and Facebook page.
Number 3 now, Bernalillo County residents only have a little over 2 weeks to challenge the value of their property. Officials say now is the time to file an appeal if you disagree with the value that was assessed. Every property owner was given a notice of what the value is going to be for their property at the beginning of the month. But the assessor's office says if an appraisal was done last year that showed a different amount, the issue needs to be resolved. All this must be done within 30 days from the date the notice of value was mailed.
At number 2, very strong winds across the entire state today, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts expected. We're looking at extreme fire danger in most locations today, so high wind warnings and red flag warnings in effect. Temperatures still warm for one more afternoon before we drop about 20 to 30 degrees. That leaves us in the 50s on Friday.
And at number 1, after nearly a year, a man and his girlfriend are suspects in the murder of an 86-year-old woman. Josefina Ortega was murdered inside her home in the Heights last May, bound with zip ties and suffocated. Now, the family quickly suspected it was her nephew, Craig Smith. Josefina's family tells us Smith had gone to her house on Mother's Day and that it was the last time that they spoke with her. Now, police say Smith's white car was seen on video near Ortega's home at the time of the murder. His girlfriend, Yvonne Jaramillo's DNA was found on a cigarette outside of Ortega's home.